Yo boys, DDB here. Today we're going to be going over a question that I see a fair bit, which is Serenity versus Storm, Earth and Fire, also known as SEF. We're going to look at the positive and negatives of both, and where you can use them in both M+, and raiding. Alright, let's get into it. So first we're going to have a look at Serenity. Serenity is one of our major cooldowns, and there's three components to this spell. First, we're going to be dealing 15% damage whilst it's active. Second is all chi consumers are free, which means we can cast as many Rising Sun kicks and Fist of Fury and Blackout kicks as possible, without needing to build up chi. Last is our chi spenders cooldown 100% more quickly, which again will be things like our Rising Sun kick, Fist of Fury, etc. The spell lasts 12 seconds, but can be paired with talents like Drinking Horn cover, which extends the duration of our Serenity by 0.3 every time we cast a chi spender. So the talent is more of a press it and do big damage whilst pressing a lot of Rising Sun kicks, Fist of Furies, etc. You'll notice that it's a cooldown that doesn't line up with our Zuen though, so that's not good. You're going to want to try to pair this with Zuen as much as possible though, due to the talent Invoker's Delight, which basically gives us a Bloodlust when we press our Zuen. It's for 20 seconds. There will be times when you'll want to use these two separately though, as it requires a bit of thought behind it. An example of this would be you're doing an M+ pull and you have Serenity up but not the Zuen. You're about to go into a big pull, but you know you need the Zuen for the actual boss fight, maybe it's Tyrannical. But you don't want to press it midway into the pack whilst like pretty much everything is dead, and then it's like a bad CD usage. So instead you just press the Serenity on the pack, assuming you know it's going to last a while, and then by the time you get to the boss you have your Zuen ready and you'll have your Serenity coming up soon. With Serenity you can make a macro to add a bunch of stuff into it, as the second you press it you're going to be doing quite a lot of damage instantly. I like to add things like my trinkets, my pots and my racials to this. In raiding, your goal with this is going to be fire-offing as many Rising Sun kicks as possible, and then weave in Fist of Fury for the talent Zuen's battle gear, buffing your Rising Sun kicks for 4 seconds. In an M+ scenario, for Trust Pools you're going to want to be pressing as many Fist of Furies as possible with this up, whilst also pressing Spinning Crane kicks in between. And in between the spinnings you're going to be pressing Blackout kicks, 1 because of our mastery, and 2 because with the talent Shadowboxing Treads we're able to apply a Mark of the Crane to multiple targets. Be aware that the targets that you're going to be hitting with the extra Blackout kicks is based on your positioning though, so you're going to want to try to move around a bit when pressing Blackout kicks to try to get the 5 stacks of the Crane up ASAP. Another thing to be careful with Serenity, or even raiding for that matter, is it's very front loaded, meaning the second you press it you're going to be doing big damn. So you want to give the tank a bit of time before you go ham, unless you want to be a smear on the floor pretty much. Remember, you can't do big damn if you're dead on the floor. So where should you be using this? Mainly raiding, as Serenity performs best on single target encounters, which obviously in raiding there's always a chunky boss to deal with, and M+ mainly there's just mob pulls. There obviously is bosses, but yeah, the majority of it is mob pulls. So now let's have a look at the Storm, Earth and Fire talent. So again, with Storm, Earth and Fire, it's one of our major cooldowns. When you press it, you're going to be splitting into 3 elemental spirits for 15 seconds. You being one of them, and the other 2 will be like mirror images of yourself. This will also split your damage into 3, whilst also giving you a slight buff for every spirit, including yourself. This is 42% of your normal damage, meaning this will add up to around 126%. Effectively, you will have 26% more damage increased whilst every spirit's active. These spirits will mimic every damaging ability you cast, such as your Rising Sun Kick, Fist of Fury, etc. Once you cast Storm, Earth and Fire, you're going to have a new icon in its place that will allow you to control what the spirits are hitting, meaning for example you can send them over to a target far away whilst you stay on your like the boss, etc. you're currently hitting, splitting your damage, but meaning you don't have to travel as far to get to them. Something to note with this though is as soon as the targets that your spirits are hitting dies, they will kind of become in like a confused state, and they'll just kind of stand around for a few seconds not doing anything. So you'll need to refocus them onto another target ASAP, otherwise you'll be just losing damage, as you'll be the only one dealing damage, which is the 42%, and you'll end up losing effectively 84% damage from the other two spirits not doing anything. They also have a bit of travel time if the target is far away, meaning if you use a cast as they're flying over, they won't cast the ASAP. Again, we use the talent Drinking Horn cover, which will give us a higher uptime on Stormwrath and Fire. You notice that we also have 2 charges for this talent, meaning it can be a bit more flexible with it when pressing it, or saving it for when we know we're going to be doing a big dam. Similar to Serenity, we want to pair this cooldown with Zuen as much as possible, because of Zuen's battle gear giving us a small bloodlust for 20 seconds. Talent I would also suggest running with Seth, if you know you're going to be pressing Spinning Crane Kit a lot, is Bone Dust Brew. This will allow it so we can spin a lot more often due to the chi refunds, as Stormwrath and Fire doesn't have infinite chi like Serenity does. You also have to weave in Tiger Palms in between this, because of obviously you have to gain chi to press Spinning Crane Kick. Also try not to overcap on charges, and try be pressing them when you have Bone Dust Brew ready. In M+, I would recommend you stay away from macroing anything into these spells like trinkets, your racials, etc. for one big reason. In M+, the way we use Stormwrath and Fire is different to Serenity. So when you first activate Stormwrath and Fire, they aren't focused onto anything one given target, until you press the button again to focus them onto your focus target. So what will happen when you press this and press a button like Tiger Palm is you will hit the target with that you're hitting for Tiger Palm, whilst they'll go off and hit other targets. They do this due to them trying to apply Mark of the Crane to as many targets as possible, so you can take advantage of this within your first 2 to 3 global cooldowns. When pressing Stormwrath and Fire, your first couple of spells should always be something like a Tiger Palm into a Thunder Fist into another Tiger Palm. This will ensure you have 5 stacks of Mark of the Crane active, and the moment you have done this, you can throw down your Bone Dust Brew, you'll pop your trinkets, etc., and then you'll focus the spirits onto your desired target and start Fist of Furying and spamming Spinning Crane Kicks. You're going to want to try to position the spirits in a way that they would hit as much as possible in a pack. If you're focusing them onto a target on the edge of a pack, they might be hitting the other targets that are slightly further out. So try to position them in a way that they're always in the middle of the pack, able to hit as many things as possible. In a raiding scenario, it'll be a bit different, as you can press them ASAP and they'll just focus on the boss, assuming there's no ad spawns on pull. If ads do spawn around the room, as long as you've pressed the button again for Stormwrath and Fire, they won't actually go off and target anything else but the boss. Another good thing about this is they work weirdly with aggro, as the spirits themselves won't actually have a threat table, as they actually aren't hittable or killable. Meaning it'll be very hard for you to pull aggro in any way on M+ or in raiding when they're up, as you're technically only doing 42% of your normal damage. So where should we be using Stormwrath and Fire? It's mainly used in M+ for the flexibility of the 2 charges and the extra burst, with a slight bump over Serenity by around 9%. They also last a little bit longer. For raiding, majority of the time you won't be using this, as it's just a slight single target decrease compared to Serenity. But if there's any big fights with ads, example would be like Broodkeeper or Daffia from Vault of the Incarnates, you can definitely use Seth to your advantage on these, as long as you're designated to the ad group killing party. So I will say you can use both of these in any content if you want. They're not miles apart, to the point it'll be considered inting picking one over the other. So if you do prefer, say, Serenity in most scenarios, as I know a lot of people do, Kerung using it in both raids and M+. So that about wraps it up for this one. If you have any further comments about anything, be sure to ask down below and I'll try to answer ASAP. But if you've enjoyed the video, consider subscribing and liking. Thanks again guys, catch you in the next one, peace.